Hello and welcome to Polyglot Principles. My name is Modja. This is the channel where I help ambitious language learners go from intermediate to advanced in their target language by giving them a very deep and detailed understanding of the principles of language learning. I myself am a hyper-polyglot who speaks 8 languages. I speak 4 of those at an advanced level, B2 and beyond. And, why is my alarm ringing? No idea. Yeah, and so this is a channel where I help you go from intermediate to advanced in your target language. In particular, if you're an ambitious person, which means you're not satisfied with doing an average job, you're not satisfied with getting by in the language, you really want to become fluent, you want to get really good at the language. If you're that type of person, then this is the type of channel for you. And in particular, if you're currently at the intermediate level or slightly above that and you want to become advanced fluent in your target language, then this is also the channel for you. And the other thing about me is that I like to go deep into things. I don't like shallow things. I like to go into detail trying to understand the principles of language learning, how to learn a language. If you're someone who likes detail, you don't want surface stuff, this is also the channel for you. So if you tick these 3 criteria, you're a serious language learner, you're ambitious, you want to get to an advanced level and you're currently above intermediate or at intermediate, and you also like to go into details about things, if you satisfy all these 3 criteria, then this is the channel for you. Make sure to like this video, hit the subscribe button, and hit the bell notification. Ding, 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 ding. That way you'll be notified whenever I publish a new video. I publish videos every Monday at 8 a.m. Central African Time. So, and as usual, if you have a question for me, make sure to just send me an email at polyglotprinciples@gmail.com. I usually share very useful tips in my videos all the way till the end. So to make sure you don't miss out on anything, make sure to stay until the end of this video. Okay, so let's jump into the topic of today, and it is, do you need a teacher or language school to become fluent in a language, right? Do you need a teacher or a language school to become fluent? Now, as usual, I want to know what you think about this. So, go to the description of, pause this video, go to the comment section and answer the question. Do you need a teacher or a language school in order to become fluent in a language? What do you think? Yes or no? There's thunder and lightning. Alright, so let me know what you think. Do you need a language teacher? Do you need a language school? Are those things necessary, or can one learn without them? Become fluent in a language without them? Just let me know in the description. I want to know what you're thinking. And come back to this video and let's find out. Let's have fun. Find out if your opinion agrees with mine. And if you say that you need a teacher, I need some reasons. Why do you need a teacher? If you say you don't need a teacher or a language school, I want to know why. Right? All that stuff in the description below. Alright, let's now dive into this. So, if you ask me the question, do you need a teacher or some sort of language school in order to become fluent in the language? No, you don't need one. You don't need a language school, you don't need a teacher to become fluent in a language. Here's what you need to become fluent in a language. You need to know the principles of language learning, that's step 1, and obey them. Look, if you are not, let me put it this way. This is really the basis of the channel and my own mindset and attitude towards life. All of life functions in accordance with principles. This is how nature works. If you want to cook a meal, there's a recipe. Those are the principles for cooking that meal. If you obey the recipe, you do everything on the recipe, you're going to get the meal. If you disobey the recipe, you do something else, you're going to get a different meal. You're not going to get what you wanted to get. If you want to dance a particular dance, there are principles of dancing salsa. If you obey the principles of salsa dancing, you will get the results. If you disobey the principles, you won't get the results. If you want to drive a car, there are principles for driving a car. Obey the principles of driving a car, and you'll be fine. You'll drive without a problem. Disobey the principles, and you'll crash and die perhaps, or kill others, or injure others. This is the same. All of nature is like this. In particular, language learning is no exception. There are principles of language learning. If you obey these principles, you'll succeed. You'll become fluent. If you disobey these principles, you will not succeed. If at the moment, if you're struggling and you're not able to become fluent, the reason is likely because, hey, you're just disobeying the principles of language learning. If you're stuck and you're not improving at all, then you're disobeying the principles of language learning. That's all. And if you're disobeying the principles of language learning, there's only two reasons why that could be happening. Either you know the principles and are disobeying them, or you don't know them and thus you're disobeying them. So if you know the principles and you're disobeying them, then I don't know what to do with you. That's a little tricky, but this is all you need. Know the principles, obey them. And you don't need a teacher for that. If you just obey the principles of language learning, you're going to learn the language, whether you have a teacher or not, whether you're attending a language academy school or not. Now it could be that you're ignorant of the principles. You don't know what the principles are. No problem. What are the principles of language learning? If I ask you that question, list down 5 key principles of language learning. If you find yourself struggling to answer that question, then that's evidence that you don't know the principles of language learning. And if you want to know them, then this is not a big deal. Just this channel is specifically designed to do that. Teach you the principles of language learning to help you get from intermediate to advanced in your target language. So all you gotta do to make sure you know the principles, because every week I talk about the principles, just make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell notification. That way you'll continue to learn every week about the principles of language learning, how to apply them, methods of application, and so on. Right. Knowing these principles and applying them, like I said before, guarantees success. And in particular, if you want to get started on the principles of language learning, I've made a video called The 5 Enemies of Fluency. In there, I tell you 5 principles of language learning that you should not violate. If you violate them, or any of them, your progress is going to be stunted or totally stopped. And if you obey these principles, you're definitely going to improve. So make sure to check out that, I made a video on it. Just go to the description of this video. The video is called The 5 Enemies of Fluency. That will start to tell you what the principles of language learning are, and so that you can start obeying them and start seeing results. So I said you don't need a teacher or a language school. But does that mean that a language teacher or like teachers or language schools are useless? Absolutely not. Can they help you in your language learning journey? Can they help you become fluent faster? That's right, they can. So you don't need a teacher, but there are very good benefits. There are very good reasons for having a teacher. Let's go into that. Right? And as usual, by the way, I have notes written down for everything I'm discussing here. I can talk, but I can't go into as much detail as I can in my writing. So I've written about everything that I'm talking about here. I've written notes, and they're much more detailed than what I'm about to tell you here. So if you want to really understand this idea of a teacher, do you need one or not, how to use a teacher effectively, which teacher to get, and so on. If you want to really understand this, then watch this video totally and then get the notes and study them carefully. The notes are in the description. There'll be a link to them, and you'll be able to get detailed explanation of everything I'm saying here. Okay, and of course, if you have a question, send me an email, or a criticism or anything, polyglotprinciples@gmail.com. All right. So the question is, we said you don't need a teacher, you don't need a language school, but can teachers and a language school help you? Absolutely. Now let's look at how to get the most out of a teacher or language school. That's the question. How do you get the most out of a teacher or a language school? Okay, so here's how you can get the most out of a teacher. And in this case, a teacher is going to be someone who has mastered the language. Like you're trying to learn a language and this person is fluent at the language. How can you use them to accelerate your language learning so that you become fluent as quickly as possible? Right? So the first thing is, get a teacher to identify your mistakes. This is key. This is one way in which you can use a teacher to lead you to fluency. Here's the cardinal principle. We've talked about the principles. Here's a fundamental principle of learning. Actually, I've been thinking about it for a while, and I can't think of any case where learning happens in which this principle is disobeyed. In order to improve in language learning or whatever the heck it is, It is important to know your mistakes and eradicate them. In particular, anytime you improve, it means you've eradicated a mistake. This is all. So in this case, a language teacher can be very, very valuable to you, because the language teacher can identify your mistakes, tell you, hey, you're mispronouncing this word, or you're not saying things correctly in this tense, or whatever mistake they find, or your sentence structure is off. If you can get a teacher to tell you what your mistakes are, and you're able to and then you figure out a way to eradicate those mistakes, then you're going to guarantee improvement. In this case, a teacher will be helping you to improve faster. It might have been very difficult for you to do it on your own, because you see, the teacher can see you from the outside. I think there's an expression in English, if I don't get it wrong, it says you cannot see the picture if you're inside the frame. That is, if you're inside the picture, you can't, like, for example, you can't see yourself. You can see other people well, the entire form, but you can't really see yourself well because you're in the body. You know, it's hard to see yourself. Other people can see you much better. They can tell you things about how you move, how you talk that you never noticed before. And this is true in particular when speaking a language. If you get someone who's really good, a language teacher, to observe and pay attention to how you use the language, they can see mistakes that you're just not capable of seeing. Simply because, first of all, you don't understand the language as well, and simply because you are you. We all have blind spots. We don't see everything. There's a lot of stuff we miss. That's one thing a teacher can do for you. The other thing a teacher can do for you, the other thing a teacher can do for you to help you become fluent is, before we said get the teacher to identify your mistakes. And then we're saying the teacher can identify your mistakes and you figure out how to correct them yourself. Another thing a teacher can do is they can identify and correct your mistakes for you. This is key. Let's use a simple example. Let's say you keep saying the sentence, I hungry. I hungry. A teacher can tell you, oh, you said the sentence wrong, and then you figure out how to say it correctly. Another thing the teacher can do is tell you, no, you don't say I hungry, you say I am hungry. And then if the teacher corrects you, your job is to imitate the teacher. So if the teacher says it's I am hungry, try to say it, I am hungry. Or write it down, I am hungry. So in writing down or saying the correct thing, you're literally correcting your mistakes. And provided you do this, you're going to improve. Guaranteed improvement. So this is another way in which a teacher can be useful. We said the first way is they identify your mistakes. The second way a teacher can be useful to is they identify, they correct your mistakes, and you imitate the correction. The third way in which a teacher can be useful to you is a teacher can help you to automate grammar. This is very useful. How good you are at the language is a function of how many grammar structures you've automatized, you've made automatic. Think about yourself speaking like in your mother tongue. Let's say whatever your mother tongue is. Let's say it's English. For example, English is my mother tongue. A lot of stuff in English is automatic to me. The tenses are automatic, the language structures are automatic. As I've been speaking to you throughout this video, I haven't had to think about what words I'm going to use or what grammar I'm going to use. All of it is automatic. As a result, I'm able to focus on just ideas. And this is key. The more grammar structures you make automatic, if the present tense is automatic for you, you can speak better. If you make the present tense and the past tense automatic, you can speak even better. If you make the passive voice and active voice automatic, you can speak even better. So automating structures like grammar in a language is absolutely key. And in this case, a teacher can help you. And if you remember in the school system, maybe if you took a language in high school or primary school or university, this is what the teachers typically were able to help you to do. They were able to identify certain grammar structures, maybe tenses, certain things about the language. They identified them for you and then they gave you exercises. And your job, if you did the exercises, if you did a lot of exercises on the grammar they were teaching you, eventually it became automatic. This is how you can use a teacher. Maybe you're not in the school system, but if you can get someone who knows the language well, they can help you see, okay, what grammar is not automatic? What grammar structures are you struggling with? Then they can create many exercises for you. Then you can do those exercises until you're able to use the grammar structure automatically. Then you move on to a grammar structure. The more you do this, the better you'll become. So we've talked about three ways in which we said you don't. We said, well, this is what we've said so far. To become fluent in a language, you do not need a teacher. All you need to do is to know the principles of language learning and obey them. Actually, all you need to do is obey the principles of language learning. Even if you unconsciously obey the principles, you're still going to learn. That's kind of how nature works. It doesn't matter if you know whether the principle of gravity is it doesn't matter if you know the principle of gravity or not. If you jump from a building, you're going to fall. Gravity doesn't care if you know about it or not. The principles of language learning are the same. Whether you consciously or unconsciously apply them, they're going to work. So all you need to do is to obey the principles. If you obey the principles, you're going to learn, we said. And so you don't really need a teacher. If you find a way to obey the principles without having a teacher or attending a language school, then that's great. You could do that. And there's actually ways to do that. I have some methods I use to do that kind of thing. However, a teacher can be very useful because you cannot see all your mistakes. That's why I'm saying a teacher can also be very useful. And here's how a teacher can be useful for you, as we've said. One is the teacher can identify your mistakes so that you can eradicate them. A teacher can identify your mistakes, correct them for you, and you just copy their correction, which will make you better. Another method you could use is get the teachers to identify the grammar structures you're suffering with and help you to make those grammar structures automatic through exercises and grading your exercises, telling you if you've done something correctly or not. All right. Now, I want to talk about something that maybe many people do not think about, but it's very important. One moment. There is a difference between a teacher and a language strategist or a language coach. One might think they're the same, they're not. A teacher helps you with the specifics. An English teacher is going to help you with the tenses, correcting your writing. They help you with specific aspects of the language, with the details of it. Like I said before, your writing, maybe your speaking, your pronunciation. They help you with the technical details of the language. That's a teacher. Very useful. But a language coach is a different beast altogether. A language coach is somebody who helps you not with the technical details necessarily, but they help understand, for example, what are your goals in the language. They help tell you what activities you should do to improve, what activities you shouldn't do to improve, what activities will stop you from. They tell you how to distribute your effort. They help you to avoid certain activities. They basically help you with the strategy. And this is very important because if you have poor strategy, if you spend a lot of time doing activities that don't work, then you're not going to learn the language well, or you're going to learn it's going to take a long time to learn it. So I'll give you an example. For example, it took me a while to understand the importance of listening to material when building listening comprehension. It took me a while to understand the importance of listening to material that is at my level or slightly higher than my level, comprehensible input. I didn't understand the concept. So what I did was I wasted months when learning a language, and during those months, what I did was listen to content that was just too complicated. So what happened is at first my mind was trying to figure it out. Eventually it was too complicated, the mind turned off. I stopped listening totally. I just began getting lost in other thoughts, not even paying attention to the listening. Of course, as a result, I wasted months without improving my listening comprehension. So because I didn't know what activity to do, this was not really a technical issue of how to use a tense, the meaning of certain words. No, this was a technical issue about my strategy for improving listening comprehension. It was wrong. And as a result, I wasted 2 to 3 months doing something that was just wrong. Now, if I had a language coach, he would have told me, oh yeah, don't do that. That doesn't work. He'd have told me, no, listen to comprehensible input. So this is the power of a coach, is a language coach, a language strategist. They can save you months or even years. And they really streamline your learning. They help you to learn things as really quick as possible. For example, I now speak German. I've been learning German for, this might be the 9th month, 8 to 9 months, around there. And right now, I've been able to go within that time to an advanced level in German. So I'm like high B2 going to C1 now. in German, and I've been able to accomplish this within 8 to 9 months. So of course, remarkable result. Right? For most people, it's a remarkable result. I think it's remarkable also. However, within this 9-month period of time, I made a lot of mistakes. Sometimes I look at them like I wasted like 2 months doing wrong things. If someone were to come to me now and they want to learn German, I can help them get to where I got in half the time. Because I'll tell them exactly what activities to do, what activities not to do. You see? And this is the power of having a coach, because a coach is someone who's an experienced language learner. They've made all the mistakes. They can help you avoid wasting time. They can streamline your language learning process, and they can help you get to your goal efficiently. So, do you need a language coach or language strategist in order to become fluent in a language? No. All you need to do is obey the principles. However, the language strategist or language coach knows the principles of language learning. That's why they've successfully learned many languages. A good language coach will be able to make sure that all your activities obey the principles of language learning. So it's more efficient to work with a language coach than to work alone, but you don't need one. So I hope I've given you a full picture of a good idea of this topic of do you need a teacher or not, what are the benefits of a teacher, and so on. Okay, so as I mentioned before, I've been talking, but I can't really explain everything in video. I have notes in which I've written down in greater detail every idea I've explained to you here. If you want to have a deep understanding of this topic about a teacher, how to use one, a language strategist, a coach, and so on, what is the importance or not the importance, if you want to learn this whole topic we've been talking about, make sure to, first of all, make sure you carefully watch this video, and then go to the description of the video. I have my notes on the same video where I go into detail about everything. Watch the video, read the notes carefully, and your understanding will be greatly enhanced, assuming you didn't know this material already. Now, I make videos, again, if you have a question for me, this is key. If you have a question for me, you want me to help you answer a question, some struggle you're having in your language learning journey, I want to answer it. Send me an email, polyglotprinciples@gmail.com. The email is also in the description of the video. And this is true, and if you want to just encourage me, criticize me, give me feedback, whatever, I want to hear from you. Just send me an email, polyglotprinciples@gmail.com. I publish videos every Monday at 8 a.m. Central African Time. So if you don't want to miss out on any of these videos, be sure to like the video, like this video, hit the subscribe button, and hit the bell notification. Ding, 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 ding. That way you'll be notified whenever I publish a new video. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I hope to catch you on the next one. Bye.